Donkey Jaw Projects.
What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and today is day 85 of 100 days of making comics. Isn't that exciting? If you don't know what 100 days of making comics is, it is the challenge where for 100 days in a row, consecutively, I work on my comic project for at least a half an hour a day, set forth by Mr. Kevin Cross, who did it first, and many have followed. So yeah, here you'll see I am drawing Agent Smith from The Matrix. That was the drawing prompt from a group of friends today. And when I saw the prompt, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not sure if I want to do this one today or not. We'll see. And then I thought up this idea, and it's basically exactly what I've drawn here. And I just kind of wanted to play a little bit with this cartoony stuff I've been working on. It's not as specific as, some of the stuff I've been doing. Like I did Beastman in the rubber hose style, kind of Fleischer Studio style. And then I did, yesterday I did Frankenstein in the Don Martin style. And this time, I just did a cartoony style, but I wanted to kind of play with a little bit of kind of trope, sort of, where, cartoon characters get kind of crazily injured, but not actually. It's just like they can do things that you can't do in normal life. And I thought it'd be funny because it is The Matrix, and weird, crazy stuff happens in The Matrix too. So this is like glitchy Mr. Smith or something. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys dig it. Today what I wanted to talk about quickly, sort of, was the problem of world building. This is something that I've talked about in the past, and I got more thoughts on it, I guess. Probably repeating some things too, I don't know, but hopefully it's interesting to you. Basically, doing the story that I'm doing now, and I don't have a name for it, but this kind of rubber hose animation style inspired story. It's something that I wanted to like develop this thing really quick, and like in 16 days get the first 3 pages done of a pitch for Alterna Comics for it. And it's just hard to really do something like that in that amount of time. Maybe when I get to a point where I'm really, have gotten a lot of stories under my belt, that'll be a good thing I can do. But for now, I mean, world building is like this thing that just takes time. And, I was trying to look up some videos on world building. I've done it before, and some of them were repeats and whatnot. But, they go into like this, okay, you got to create the economy and the government, and why is the economy work this way, and why is the weather like this on this planet, or how's the universe all put together, all these different things, like what's the money system, what's the social systems, like what's the geography, all this crazy stuff. And I'm wondering, like, to me, it's like, yeah, you can do that kind of thing, but you can get, like, so wrapped up in it that it's just never ending. And even in a simple story, it can be never ending. You can just think about all kinds of things, like, okay, this person was married to this person, and they got divorced, and this person had this kid, and because they had this kid out of wedlock, this happened, and then this, that, and then, like, all these just social things that have happened, in the history that will never maybe even be mentioned in your story, and are they even essential to the story? Sometimes they are. There are a lot of things behind stories that are actually essential to know, even though it'll never actually make it into the story. It helps you to understand how things go. So like what would Batman be if it wasn't for the fact that his parents were killed in front of him? Like that sets up the whole story of Batman, so it's important. And if that was a detail that was just kind of not told to us over and over and over again, then maybe the storyteller could still have told that story, but he would at least have to know, he or she. So anyways, I think that they do need to tell that. But anyways, so, I don't know. I'm wondering if there's a quicker method to world building because, I'm trying to make these stories where, it's just like all these short stories and each story is its own world. And when I was doing that for 12 stories, it's like, okay, well, the whole world is, just this building or whatever and like the town around it or city around it. So it's like, okay, so that's not too hard because all the stories take place in the same thing. But then sometimes I change the time. There's all kinds of things. So even in that, there's a lot of world building, but it kind of cuts down on it. But a lot of the other stories I'm working on are like whole new worlds, like, Tolkien or Star Wars type of worlds where it's just big and there's probably a lot of those details and aspects are probably somewhat important. So I'm wondering if there's like kind of a quick and dirty way to do this, kind of like the Marvel method. I kind of want to Marvel method everything in my process, because I want to tell a lot of stories, and I don't want, if I'm going to spend a million years, world building, it's going to be something that I can't manage. So my kind of hypothesis, I guess, for this is building a story, world building from the character, like based on the character, like world building from the character outward. You see what I'm saying? So the character is like the nexus of it, like the protagonist, and you build it from outside, out of that. It's funny I use the word nexus because I don't even know what that means. Like I was talking to Adam Lore about that, like what does that even mean? I don't know, I gotta find out. I still haven't figured it out. But I think I'm saying it right. I think it's like an origin type of thing. But anyways, building so that the character is at the center, and now like all the decisions that you make, like what is the surrounding characters, well, they're characters that complement and contrast the inner struggle that character is going through in a way that helps tell the story. Well, what's the world like? Well, the world is a certain way, and it's like that person is like a product of the world they're in, but at the same time, and that's what made them have this issue, a lot of times. But as a writer, I'm kind of like building the story, almost in reverse, like in a weird like way, like it's the world kind of makes the character, but as a writer you kind of reverse engineer it, I guess. Or I'm saying this is like my hypothesis of a way to do it, and then that way you don't go on creating parts of the world that are actually not that necessary, you know what I mean? So you only create the parts of the world that are necessary, and this this won't work with like an indefinite ongoing series. This only probably works with a story that you already know the ending or have a good idea of what the ending is, and like that has a specific direction. If you're working differently than that, then I'm not sure if this will work as much. Maybe it will. So I don't know. But it's my hypothesis. I'm going to try putting it to work. And I mean, that's kind of how I'm doing it already. I think that some people do probably do this already. Even without realizing it, especially if you're more of a character driven story writer, then you probably already kind of do this. But I'm an amateur, so I'm trying to figure this out as I go here, and I'm trying to not find other people's systems. Like I like looking to get help, but I'm realizing I just have to make up my own way of doing things, and then I can look into all those other things, but I need to kind of make up my own way, figure it out, do a lot of failing and messing up, and then I'll start to hone it a little bit. And then some of these other people's, systems and ways of writing stories can help me refine that, So I'll use that as a way to refine my approach and stuff. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. Do you guys have any shortcuts for world building? I don't know. I'd love to hear it if you do. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. I didn't work on my comics yet, but I will be getting my half an hour in right after I'm done recording this, which is going to be done nowly. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you on the next episode of 100 Days of Making Comics. Peace out. There's my little signature. Right.